Hi, Manong George here, and we'd like to thank our sponsor for today's video, BCRemit, because we care. Hello, Manong George here. Welcome to our channel, and today we have a very special guest.
My name is Mark Doblas, and I'm here in the UK. I'm working in one of the NHS trusts as the lead clinical practice facilitator for international nurses. So this role also is similar as a Matron for international recruitment. So I'm also an internationally educated nurse who's been recruited from the Middle East. So I've been in the UK for 4 years and 5 months now. So it's been an exciting journey, and I'm just glad that now I'm able to do the recruitment for our fellow overseas nurses all across the globe.
Man knows best.
When you're given the opportunity to go through an interview process, so meaning you've been shortlisted as a candidate, please prepare very well for your interview. Remember, interview questions can be very common. You would see it all over the internet. So please do your research, study about it. First question, most of the time, would always be, but this does not have bearing most of the time in the judging of whether you are qualified or not. They would just ask you to talk about your nursing experience or your career to date. Now, when you talk about your career, please be very clear as to the timeline of your career, how many years you worked, and which wards you've worked at, what cases you've handled. You can already express that in there. Although it may already be reflected in your CV, it is best that we can get to see that it reflects also in your interview. It shows the authenticity of your answers. And yeah, so that's one. Second is that there will always be clinical questions. When it comes to clinical questions, you have to make sure you have ticked all the boxes. In the UK, interview questions are graded. So there is a marking criteria when we do the interview. So there are also so when we have a question on the other side, there are also all the possible answers that you can give. So common question in an interview is, let's say, infection control. So then you would have to talk about every single aspect of infection control. People can only remember hand hygiene, wearing of PPE. However, there's so much more to that. It's not just you. It's also about the patient, the environment, the relatives, the entire staff, the workforce. Yeah. So you have to look at all these different facets. Interviews as well can be very tricky because you might think that, oh, I'd rather be straightforward and be very concise and clear. No, you have to sell yourself. You have to show to me that you have a vast idea of the given topic. So you can talk and talk. You can go on and talk about many different things related to the question, because the interviewer, if they've had enough, they would just stop you. And that's okay. It doesn't mean to say that you went overboard. It's just that there's so many things that you can share regarding the topic, and that's important. So when we also ask about character or values-based questions, say for example, working in a team, that sort of question, what is important is we get to see a very specific experience from you, personal experience that can be related to the topic. Topics can be working in a team, patient-centered care, it can be integrity, it can be patient confidentiality, all sorts of things. But you don't have to give me a textbook definition of what confidentiality is. I know more than you do. Interviewers know more than you do. And it sounds cliche. What is important is if in case you would want to set the tone by explaining the textbook definition of the topic, you have to marry that or tie that together with your personal experience. Yeah. It is nice to see. It is just very refreshing to hear answers that go back to their experiences, because that's where I can see that you have that immense clinical experience to be able to answer the questions, because you're harnessing it from those scenarios you've encountered yourself. Other tip, I believe, is ask questions at the end of the interview. Ask questions if there's anything you would want to know more about, whether it's about support in continuing development, education, or training, whether it's about OSCE preparation, whether it's about career progression. Ask. It's good that you ask these questions, because you would just want to see as well whether your expectations align to the organization you're applying for. So it's not always as if the employers are the ones that need you. You also have to showcase that they should feel like I'm good and you need me in your organization. So when you do your interview, it's done in virtual environment. So don't feel nervous, just be relaxed. If you are nervous, then you can be candid about it. Tell your interviewer about it. It's not gonna be a markdown for your interview. It just shows your authenticity rather than pretending that you're not conscious or you're not scared about the interview. So you can be very open about your interview and the interviewer. Another thing is that what I really like when I'm doing the interview is when the interviewee remembers my name and uses my name in the way they answer the question.
You remembered my name.
So if you have 3 interviewers in a panel, remember all their names. And it's not quite a common practice in the UK to use ma'am and sir. So use their names. It becomes more personable. It becomes more there's that degree of relationship or building already. So, and it's nice to hear that you know our names.
Man knows best.
At the end part, when you have the opportunity to ask questions, it's not wrong to ask about the salary. So you can always ask about the salary, because anyway, the NHS salary scheme is quite transparent. You can Google it. It's online. But what is important that you ask the employer is whether they honor or they credit previous experience outside of the UK, and does that have any bearing in regard to your pay grade. So they might not be able to give you a straight up answer because they still need to assess your years of experience, but at least they would tell you whether they would give you the chance to have that top of the band salary at your starting point working in the NHS because of your previous experience.
Always remember, Manong knows.
Man knows best, put your worries to rest when staying in the United Kingdom. Man knows best.